Impulsive and unpredictable. These are two words that I believe accurately characterize how my manic experience was. For over 6 months, I was in a manic episode during my junior year of college, the fall semester of 2021. I was extremely close to graduation. I would have been the first in my family to graduate college, but bipolar disorder orchestrated against me. And as I said in the past video, reacting to crazy videos I filmed while manic, it has been the bane of my existence. In this video, I'm going to do exactly what I just said. I'm going to react to one of the crazy videos that I impulsively posted to YouTube, which I had filmed at my apartment. And I'm doing this because I think that it's interesting to see what the manic mind looks like and sounds like. Lots of people are curious about it. I get comments along the lines of, how do I know if someone is manic? And I think that these videos serve a excellent purpose in that they provide a glimpse of what one manic experience looks like, my manic experience. And I think that it's very informative in that regard. And I'm hoping that videos like this can act as a catalyst to make people more understanding of what mania looks like and sounds like. One thing you'll notice about my mania in this video that we are going to take a look at is that it was very religious themed. At this time, I thought the nation was headed for a civil war, and I really go off on a tangent repeatedly. This video is incredibly long, and at this moment in time, I had a rather acrimonious attitude. I was very pessimistic and negative, but in this one video, I saw myself as the hero, and that it was an opportunity for me to share a message to save the world, so to speak, to prevent global catastrophe. And in this video, I actually have an almost positive tone. In contrast to the first video we looked at, is the United States headed for civil war, where I had a purely negative tone. But I just wanted to put that out there that overall, I was in a negative frame of mind. So, the video we'll be looking at today is United We Stand, Divided We Fall, Thanksgiving Message. This was posted, it says 2 years ago, November 25th, 2021. And thankfully, it only got 46 views. I have this video privated because it's not something that I want a whole lot of people to see, but things change, nothing is immutable. And before we start, I'll read the description just to give you an idea of how I go off on a tangent. I think this provides an astute example of that. Here's the description. Just a first-generation college student, patriotic American who loves his country and wants to participate in the annual commencement of Peanut Butter Jelly Time. Appreciate the pun, Mr. President. Here is my only current social media if you're interested in getting in touch with me, Tyler Cleveland33. That was my Instagram account, which got banned. Strength and union, now and forever, one and inseparable. So the description ends with a quote from former Congressman Daniel Webster, which he gave when the nation was on the brink of civil war. So let's get right into the video. I have some timestamps selected that we're going to take a look at. We're going to view the first 25 minutes of this video. In this particular video, doing the whole thing would be too long, and I'm not sure my computer is even capable of handling a video that's that long. So why don't we get started with the first clip. We're going to look right at the beginning.
Happy noonday, everybody. Sorry to keep you waiting there. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, whatever it is that you may be celebrating. My name is Tyler Michael Adolfo. Thank you all for joining me and giving me your undivided attention. I hope.
One thing I want to say right off the bat is notice my accent. Notice my accent. Does it sound familiar? Well, at this moment in time, I thought that I was a descendant of JFK and that I was related to the JFK family. And this would later manifest in the delusion that people were out to assassinate me like they did to JFK, whom I thought was my relative. But I just wanted to point that out to start.
Hope united attention, because that is what the title of this video is. United we stand, divided we fall. Thanksgiving message. I just want to open up a little bit about what I've been feeling, what I've been thinking, what others have said to me, what others have been thinking about and have relayed to me. I'm certainly not speaking on behalf of anyone else, but I feel that I have some perspective that I feel a lot of people would resonate with. And that's my intention of creating this video today. Because I know all across this nation, people will be having debates, will be doing the most American thing in the world, spending time with those who half the time we don't know if we want to give a hug or a punch to the gut, while gobbling up turkey and contracting preventable deadly diseases, the American way. Let us open up on a biblical prayer. There we go. I'm already causing division. It's okay, by the way, if you're not religious. I don't hold anything against you. I'm not actually a Catholic myself, but I'm beginning the process of becoming one. It's my hope that someday I will be.
I had a strong fascination with the Catholic Church and felt a connection to the Catholic Church while I was in a manic state. I'm not sure why exactly, but it's just something that happened.
Be able to have that opportunity, but I don't hold judgment regardless of what religion someone may adhere to or not adhere to, because that is the American way. So there was a particular scripture that caught my attention that I want to start off this video with. And that is Psalm 133, verse 1. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. Say that again, and then let it sit for a second. How good it is when God's people live together in unity. All right, so maybe that was 3 seconds. I didn't intend to lie. I'm a man, not a saint. But it's a good framework, foundation of which to draw this conversation and bring it next is, what is Thanksgiving about? For me, it's about family. It's about friends. It's about faith. And when I say faith, I'm not talking just about the faith of an institution, but I'm talking about this idea that faith transcends the idea of just faith in a higher power. Faith can be faith in a principle. It can be faith in the strength of this country and potential of this nation. It can be faith in your community. It can be faith in an idea. It can be faith in a person who's meant a lot to you and had a positive influence on your life. So faith is not just exclusive to one particular institution. And I
gotta say, that was an impeccable use of anaphora right there, of repeating the same word. Faith is this, faith is that. As someone who was a lover of rhetoric, I gotta say, even though I was manic, so far what I say about what Thanksgiving means while I was manic, it's actually something that I would still agree with. Faith, family, friends. So far hasn't been anything in particular that I am strongly contentious about. It's crazy how logical that I sounded at times when I was manic. At other times, what I say is antithetical to logic, and you'll see some of that in this video, absolutely. But the way one of my cousins described me while I was in my manic state is that I was so lucid and convincing in my delusions that she actually believed some of the stuff that I was saying.
would happily talk about what faith means to me is what President Calvin Coolidge iterated once, which is that nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Absolutely nothing. Those last two words were my addition, because I don't want to plagiarize. I want to make sure he gets his proper credit as well, which is why I mentioned his name.
Good thing I gave him his proper credit. That nothing in this world could take the place of persistence is a quote that I've utilized since high school as a method of inspiration. It's interesting that I stuck to it as a method of inspiration while I was in a frenzied state of mania. Next, we're going to go to timestamp 508 and take a look at what I say there.
Realities. But with Webster, it's very interesting. What we're known for, well,
In this, I'm talking about the town that I grew up in.
Well, it's more conservative leaning. However, the people here, we have civil discourse. We don't crucify each other when we have disagreements, or most of us certainly don't. We have a historic lake. That's what we're really known for. And if you've ever met someone from Webster, I'm sure they've brought up to you, can you pronounce our lake name? And then they'll flex with the fact that they can. And let me go into a little bit about that. Webster Lake is actually in Nipmuc. It's 14 syllables, and it's Lake Chagagagog, Man Chagagog, Chabanagangамаг. I'll say.
Yes, it is Lake Chagagagog, Man Chagagog, Chabanagangамаг. That is something that we learned when we were in elementary school, how to pronounce our famous lake name. It's been featured on Jeopardy multiple times, and I believe it's the longest lake name in the world. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I've been told that many times, anyways. But it's interesting how I went from, talking about a quote of a president to now talking about my hometown. I went from talking about Thanksgiving to talking about where I grew up so suddenly. Next, we're going to go to timestamp 7:33. Oh, it's a little bit harder than I thought. There we go.
And that's not a statement of malice against anyone. It's just a statement of fact of what happened. The indigenous peoples of the Nipmuc tribe were very diverse, very cultured. They were not savages, as some historians would purport. That's a rewriting of history. The Nipmuc were very interesting, reasonable, logical, empathetic people. And they compromised with the colonists, despite the transgression of the colonists against them. And they worked together so that the overfishing problem that was facing the community could be remedied. So keep that in the back of your mind as we move further on.
Could be remedied. There's that JFK accent, or at least my attempt at it, appearing once again.
Going into the next point, I want to talk a little bit about trauma and struggle.
Oh boy.
Book of James 1:12. Blessed is the man who stands steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. Now, once again, you don't have to be religious in order to understand the wisdom of this word of God. To me, it's the word of God. For somebody else who may not be religious or adhere to that same doctrine, it can just mean that hardship makes you stronger. As street philosopher Kanye West would say, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, better, stronger, faster.
I gotta say, when I was manic, I did have somewhat of a sense of humor. It was more the case earlier in my manic episode, and this really goes to the point where people say mania is fun. And I actually disagree with that. I like the way one viewer of mine described it, that mania is fun until it's not. It was fun for me in the beginning because I did have a brilliant sense of humor and was incredibly socially affable, which was not exactly how I typically conducted myself as an introvert. As an introverted social butterfly. But, that was the case. So next we're going to go to timestamp 1020. I might just go a few seconds before it because this is hard to get. We'll go to 1016.
Agreements, and we bury the hatchet after because we're adults. And I think we'd actually probably agree on a whole lot right now because a lot has changed over time. You learn and you grow. Bridges burn, tables turn, whatever it is. The point being, we are an imperfect union. We are men. We are women. Whether we are trans, LGBTQ, straight, black, white, Gentile, Jew, Protestant, Catholic, which I am not, but I am aspiring to be. We all have a common goal. We all share the same purpose. We all have our own purpose in this world. We all have a reason to be here. We're not here for no reason.
A blatant contradiction. We all share the same purpose, but we all have our own purpose in the world. That's an interesting contradiction right there. and it happened right after the other. I would say that my memory was certainly impaired when I was in that state of mind. No surprise there. Studies have shown that mania actually causes brain damage and can reduce the amount of gray matter in your brain in the long term. So,
It's important to understand that the United States of America, we are a nation of immigrants. Now, me personally,
all right, we're next going to go to timestamp 1509. So we're jumping ahead here. And I watched this entire video, but I don't want to play the whole thing. I just want to go to the points that I thought stood out the most and highlight how I was just jumping all over the place and there were no rational, cogent transitions between the topics that I was discussing. I was just kind of delineating a whole myriad of different topics without properly transitioning from one to the other. And that's typical of mania. One of the symptoms of mania is flight of ideas. So you can definitely see that even in the first 15 minutes of this video so far, how I kind of go off message. This is supposed to be a Thanksgiving message.
this a more perfect union, that we are imperfect, that we are men and women, we are not saints, but that there is potential for us to come together on issues where we agree, because there is so much more that unites us than divides us.
True.
And we always focus, not always, that's something I want to qualify. We so often, these past few decades, have taken this turn, this crossroads where we focus and zoom in. And I didn't mean that to be ironic. I am recording this with Zoom because my OBS was not working. We zoom in on the areas that divide us, and we blow them up, and then it prevents us from focusing on the areas where we disagree. And it's not that the areas where we disagree are immaterial. They are of paramount importance. We have to discuss them. We have to debate them. We have to not crucify each other when we have different viewpoints on how to solve these issues. But we have to have these discussions. We have to. That's the American way. That's the American way.
That's the American way. I like the whisper at the end. Next, we're going to timestamp 2101. And like I said, we're going to stop around the 25-minute mark for this video because I don't want it to run too long. I'm sorry if you think I'm interrupting too much. I'm just trying to give some light commentary and perspective and context. But overall, my goal is to try to just let it run through so that we can absorb and observe what the manic mind of Tyler Adolfo looked like. So next up, we're going to 2101. We'll go to 2057.
Congress law, which was a form of censorship. So John Quincy Adams, he wasn't perfect. There were things that some people would accuse him of being arrogant. Historians would certainly make that case, and they could do so cogently with logic and reason. But I don't suspect that John Quincy Adams had bad intentions. I think he wanted to do the right thing, but given the constraints of the time, it was profoundly difficult to do so. And that this just goes to show that a man who historians would say was the smartest president we've ever had, the most so-called natural talent, which is something I personally don't believe a whole lot in. He still crumbled under the pressures of the burden of that office, but at least he took that burden upon himself to serve his country. And he did what he thought was right, because to him, integrity was doing the right thing regardless of popularity. And I concur with that. Moving on, John F.
And then I talk about John F. Kennedy, but you get the point. I'm going through an array of presidents, and once again, this doesn't have anything to do with Thanksgiving. This is a Thanksgiving message that it's supposed to be, right? That's what I started off saying in the beginning, but that's not exactly what has transpired. Now, the last clip we're going to look at is timestamp 2401. Let's see if I can get us there. 24 is good enough. Here we go.
This vast universe, there's a big world out there, and it does not revolve around us. Some would say it's a waste of money. And I couldn't disagree more. I want to explore the cosmos. I want to learn more about this.
I gotta say, on the topic of waste of money, my spending while manic was all over the place. I purchased a plethora of things that were not needed, things that were costly, and to my great regret to this day, I even used money that did not belong to me, without the permission of my mother, and I still greatly regret that to this day. But yeah, I just wanted to comment on the fact that I had some frivolous spending while I was in mania.
World that God gave us. Science is a good thing. There was a time when we didn't know about gravity, but people talked about it, and we now know it to be true and a reality, even though we can't see it. Gravity is real. It's real. All the great scientists had the humility to change their minds when confronted with new evidence. That doesn't mean that they were lying at first. It means that there's this thing called the scientific method, an important institution of which this country was founded upon, that you make observations, form hypotheses, subject to contradictory information, you change your view. That doesn't make you a liar. It makes you a person of logic and reason. So, John.
Logic and reason, and that's the perfect note to end it on, because, at least in my view, there's not a whole bunch of logic and reason that was expressed by myself when I was manic. Certainly, you can cherry pick certain points, you can nitpick certain points and say, you know what he said there is something that I agree with. But overall, there's just such an inconsistency, a lack of cogency. Nothing is logically sound. There's clearly disorganized thinking going on. And I definitely demonstrate the symptom of flight of ideas. So that's it for this part. If you'd like to see the rest of this video goes an hour, 19 minutes, and 46 seconds. I can do 2 more parts to this video. If there's an interest for it, and if people find it informative, then I would definitely be delighted to do more parts. I think I'm going to either way, because I know some people will really enjoy that. But thank you all for watching. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.